And I remember that every single time that I have felt this insecurity, good things have happened to me. Now, there have been mistakes. I've lost money. I've had bad things happen. Small things have gone wrong. But I've overcome those failures. I've dealt with that stress. I've managed the risk, and the plane didn't crash. Between right now, I'm recording this on November 17th. Between right now, we're closing on 2 properties tomorrow and 1 on Friday. It's crazy. Between right now and January 31st, 2022. So 2-month period. In the next 2-month period, we will close on 22 self-storage facilities worth $44 million. Well, that's what we'll be all in for. I think they're worth more than that, or I wouldn't obviously be buying them. But our company's exploding. We've got over 500,000 square feet of self-storage under contract, 534,000 to be exact. It is across 12 different deals, meaning one deal may have 4 properties. This is in Indiana, Pennsylvania, North Georgia, Illinois, Ohio, and it's madness. But it's awesome. I'm having a ton of fun. And let me just say, I mean, if we zoom out again, 18 months ago, we had 6 properties worth about $5 million. By January 15th, we'll have 1.2 million square feet across 47 properties and 9,000 units. We'll have deployed $77 million to acquire all the assets, $26 million of cash, most of it from investors that I met online. Life is coming at me fast. But I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you that there's a lot of insecurity when it comes to this stuff. Just saying those things and looking at my document and saying it to what I know will be thousands of people who listen to this podcast or watch this episode on YouTube, it gives me a huge sense of impostor syndrome. It makes me think I must be flying too close to the sun. If it's this easy, why isn't everybody doing this? If it's even possible, why isn't anybody else doing this? What if I'm wrong about all these educated guesses and logical decisions that I'm making? What if my employees don't, really trust me and respect me as a leader? What if I'm going to end up as just another guy who makes a little bit of money, makes his first $1 million just to lose everything in the future? You hear those stories all the time. So I have that guy on my shoulder constantly yelling at me that everyone will eventually find out that I'm just a guy. I'm just an average guy with below average intelligence, and I have no business building something this big or trying to go after something this big. And the insecurity, it comes in waves. These questions come in waves. The doubt hits you some days, especially in the evenings before bed where the serotonin is rushing through your veins. And then other times, logic kicks in, right? I think about, I go back, I get nervous. I think about my underwriting. I go in the documents. I look at all my reports. I spend every day with 6 different tabs, actually 13 different tabs open for all the self-storage facilities that we own. And I'm reading reports on how many people moved in, how many people moved out. I'm in QuickBooks looking at the numbers, and I'm analyzing and constantly absorbing new information. I'm updating my underwriting. And when I do that, the logic kicks in. But then I go back and I think about the 30 plus employees that we have now and their entire families, these employees and their entire families who depend on me. I think about the 100 people that is, over 100 people who indirectly depend on me through our employment of those 30 folks. I think about the 200 plus investors that trust us with their precious capital that many of them have worked incredibly hard for. I think about the fact that my dad is one of those investors, that my net worth is tied to it. I look at my kids and this house that I live in, and all of these people are counting on me. They're counting on me having my shit together and pulling this off. And it is scary. It is scary as heck. Knowing that the plane is now off the ground. I'm flying it. I'm the pilot. I'm guiding it. And there is no turning back. Nobody on the plane has parachutes. Nobody on board does much, but look at me. They look at me and they say, Nick, if we don't land this plane or get to where we're going to land in a pile of rubble. We're all going to lose our jobs, and Nick, your net worth is going to vanish. Then the logic comes back. I look at the underwriting deals. I start to feel better about myself. I think about the talent around me and their ability. I think about the fact that I'm getting a lot of second opinions, that I'm making good decisions. And I realize that a lot of small shit can go really wrong with what I'm doing, and we can still make it. We can still make good money. And I remember that every single time that I have felt this insecurity, this impostor syndrome, every single time I felt it, good things have happened to me. Now, there have been mistakes. I've lost money. I've had bad things happen. Small things have gone wrong. But I've overcome those failures. I've dealt with that stress. I've managed the risk and the plane didn't crash. I've taken 2 steps forward and 1 step back. I get knocked down, I get back up. And I've gotten smarter. I've gotten better at my job. I've gotten better at what I do. I've become a better communicator, a better leader, and I've become more sure of myself as I go along. But there's something very, very unique and scary as hell about taking risks when the downside directly lands or rests on your shoulders, on my shoulders. There's nobody else to blame, nobody else to take the fall. 100% of this is on me. If I win, if we win, good job. And if we lose, it's your fault. It is Nick's fault. Nobody's fault but Nick's. It's your fault. When I look in the mirror, that's what I realize that there's nobody that I can blame. There's nobody else who's bought into this like me. And if I win, it's a direct result of what I've done. And if I lose, it's on me. There's something about that that makes me feel alive and at inner peace, right? I like the fact that I control my own destiny. I don't rely on a lot of things outside of my control to lead to my success or my failure. And another thing is that my default when I get stressed out and have one of these, I don't want to say anxiety attacks because I've never really had a ton of anxiety around this, but when I get that guy on my shoulder telling me that I'm an imposter and that I can't do it and that, I shouldn't be so sure of myself, my default response to that is always just to work hard, work harder. When things get really stressful, my default is to put my head down and work like a madman. Insane hours, toiling away, telling my employees to get out of the way. I'm going to do it. I'm going to work. I'm going to outwork this problem. And I've learned over the years that that is not the right way to think about this at all. Because when I do that, I end up working on the wrong shit. My company is bigger than me now. I end up abandoning my team and working on all the wrong things. So the real key for me is to step back and spend some time thinking about what I need to work on. What is the most valuable use of my time right now in this moment? And very, very rarely is it to tell my employee to get out of the way so I can do their job. They don't need me to do that. They need me to zoom out and look at the big picture. I feel like so many entrepreneurs, when they find themselves in stressful situations, they bury their head in work and they ignore the big problems that they need to do. There's the easy stuff and there's the hard stuff. The hard stuff is what needs done when you're most stressed out. But many entrepreneurs ignore that hard stuff and focus on that easy stuff and it crushes them. So I spend some time being a leader. I spend all my time being a leader, giving my employees better tools, making better decisions, make sure I'm steering that plane. Because my job is not to get back in the engine room and throw more coal on the engine, on the fire in the engine room, right? My job is to get in this cockpit and make sure that we're going in the right direction. So I focus on making clear, unemotional decisions, and there's no times that's harder than when things get a little stressful. Luckily, I've worked my way into easier and easier businesses. So stress, acute stress, meaning one moment in time is extremely stressful, is very rare in the real estate business. It's more of a snowball rolling down a hill, and it's very hard to turn direction. Like you're a boat, you're in the ocean, you're going fast, and it takes you 3 or 4 miles to turn 90 degrees, right? It takes a very long time to change. When we were in our service business, the stressful situations were very acute. They would hit you, and that insecurity would hit you all in a wave because you had a problem right then. There was a truck broken down, something bad happened with a customer. You had a problem right then. But you're young, you're smaller, you're fluid. In real estate, the problems can be bigger and the problems manifest over time. So my job is to make sure I'm steering the plane and make sure that those problems don't manifest, and think about them and worry about them so that my investors don't need to worry about them, my employees don't need to worry about them, and my team doesn't need to worry about them. I can focus on the big problems and how to avoid them. So that insecurity and fear has its place. It does keep me from flying too close to the sun. It keeps me from thinking that I know everything. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, they have a couple successes, and we've had some success in our careers. A lot of entrepreneurs, they get to that place and they think their shit doesn't stink. They think that they know everything. They think that they can make every single decision. They don't need anybody else. They don't need their investors. They don't need anybody to tell them what to do, and everybody else is wrong and I'm right. They surround themselves with yes people, and they end up just getting blindsided by a bunch of information that they didn't want to hear that was standing right in front of them that ruins whatever they're working on. The insecurity for me keeps me from falling into that trap. It keeps me humble. It keeps me from taking too much risk. It keeps me from thinking that I'm the only one who knows anything. So it keeps me logical and helps me manage risk very effectively. For some people, it crushes them in their ability to take risk at all. It crushes them in their ability to sell. It crushes them in their ability to go out and take some risk. So this insecurity that we all battle, we all battle it. I'm not nearly as successful as some people, and they battle it just as much as I do. But beyond that that place for insecurity that keeps you humble. Beyond that, it's a hindrance. That insecurity keeps me from doing my best work. It makes me emotional, and I can't make good, clear decisions when I'm emotional, fearful. So I squash it and I focus on doing my job. And I don't know where you're at in your entrepreneurial journey or even your career. If you work for a company, you're going to bump up against serious fear. You're going to bump up against self-doubt. You're going to bump up against this impostor syndrome, feeling that I don't know what I'm doing. How could I go out and try to make real money or build a real company or create real wealth for myself? And that's natural. It keeps us safe. It keeps food on the table for our families many times. And honestly, a lot of people should not be doing what I'm doing. It's a hard job. Building this team is very hard. Raising all this money is very hard. Finding these deals is hard. Structuring them. And there's a lot of risk. I'm personally guaranteeing $40 million of debt. So how this affects you, I don't know. You're going to need to do some thinking on this subject. You're not like me. You're not in the situation that I'm in. And I don't want to be that rah, hustle porn guy who just tells you to go, go, go and squash the fear. No, because the fear does have a place. I have to work on squashing my fear because I know deep down logically that I'm making good, clear decisions. But not everybody is good at making decisions the right way. You might not be the best, or you might not have experience at it. I've been making really hard decisions that impact my business for 10 years. They started with really small, low risk decisions. This is why I'm a big fan of low risk entrepreneurship. Start really small and low risk, because the bad decisions you make will not cripple you. I like setting myself up where a lot of bad decisions can still lead to success. A lot of failures can still lead to success. We started a small business where we were idiots in the early days. We didn't invest our time or our money the right way, but we did some things well, and those things kept the plane off the ground. It kept us moving in the right direction. Time did its thing, and here we are. So I'm a big fan of absolutely don't go try to raise $20 million of venture capital before you have revenue. Don't take 6 months off building a product before you go sell something. Don't jump in without having any idea how real estate works and try to raise $70 million to buy a bunch of storage. Entrepreneurship is a stairway, and start at the bottom step and work your way up. Low risk, low reward at first, and it works its way into higher risk, higher reward when you get better at what you do. That's where I feel like we are right now. We're better at what we do than 10 years ago when we started our business for the very first time. So I don't know how this will impact you. Do some thinking on it, right? I'm not going to be the hustle porn guy that tells you to go, go, go and at all costs, push through the failure at all costs. No, because that's not for everybody. There's a natural bit of fear that really helps entrepreneurs, helps you see your blind spots. It helps you be humble. It helps you accept the fact that you're wrong a lot. Change your mind on things that are really important for your company and you, and then eventually overcome that stuff and be successful. Hey guys, I have big news. I recently revamped my sales and customer service team at my self-storage company using folks in South Africa. Listen to this English accent.
Hi there, my name is Anton and I'm a sales professional from Gqeberha or Port Elizabeth, which is in the eastern province of South Africa. I've been in sales for about 8 years now with experience in hardware sales with some of the leading brands in the world, such as Canon, Panasonic, and more recently Red Bull.
Okay, now the surprising part. The person you just listened to is available for hire right now, and they're asking $9 an hour. If you want an introduction, if you want to hire this person into your business or at least interview them, send me an email, nick@sweatystartup.com, and I can make an introduction and offer you $1,000 off the recruiting fee. nick@sweatystartup.com.